Arts in Motion, in partnership with Rolex.
Nice and quiet, please. I've always thought that directing a film is a bit like building a house on a train, moving forward with people throwing things at you. In a way, the only way you can teach, I think, is by making.
The National Film and Television School is a specialist postgraduate film school set in a 100-year-old film studio. And students come here and effectively learn by doing. Here you come as a composer, you come as a sound designer, you come as a director, and you just do that. As a director, you're like the conductor of an orchestra, but you're only actually learning to be a director if you're working in tandem with other disciplines.
Mark?
And you have to make sure they're all making the same film, which sounds so simple and yet is so complicated.
As a director, you're the creative captain. You're the one that's allowed to have a final say over the creative decisions. Yet, you're also the one that's really needs to be humble towards all the craftspeople. All of these people, if they're at their best with you, you will be the best director. It's not about domination.
It's also, to me, really essential for the students here to also understand they might have a vision that can only really work through great conversations with other people.
Heavier breathing, heavier kind of...
Absolutely. Okay, still rolling?
So the kind of capstone project at the film school, if you're a director, is making the graduation film.
Obviously, a lot of pressures on grad film because it's the film that they go out into the world with. For the students, the grad film is the calling card.
This is a film called Hand to God, and it's about a knight who steals a baby and he takes it to the top turret of a tower. There are about 200 men who are trying to get the baby from him.
Let's cut that.
Cut that. That's a cut.
It felt like an interesting experiment, so like a good thing to do while I'm like at a film school, basically, to try out a bunch of things and try playing it very arch and over the top, and then also incredibly committed. I think it's impossible not to be nervous with any movie because it's constantly gathering material in the hopes that something will work. And when you see it in the edit, you'll realise how much you messed up.
You've got to think about so many different things.
Certainly X number of times a day, one doesn't know what one's doing, you know, and the whole thing's a disaster and should go home. You know, everyone's feeling that. Once you accept that, you can work your way through it. You know, we're talking to students today, and they were going through that process on their shoots at various times, but they found a way to work through it.
My grad film is called Rice, and it's about this Indian girl who's getting married into this sort of aristocratic British family who have some colonial history. I get really excited when editors do something that I did not expect, which we have had a few moments of, like screaming and jumping.
You did screaming and jumping?
Yeah, I did the screaming and jumping.
From director's perspective, it's just like this kind of, you have to, you know, really like address the reality of what it is that you've actually shot, and let go of like the dream of what it could have been when it was all still in your head. So there's a lot of like, you know, emotional,
yes,
therapeutic stuff happening in the edit room.
Before coming here, I would think that I have a very clear idea of the film and it's very clear in my head, and like the edit is very clear in my head and I know exactly how I want it to be. But coming here, everyone has their own personality, everyone has their own tastes. It can be very different from what I thought, and I sometimes find that to be more interesting than what I had in mind.
I really learned that I'm only as good as my team as a director. It's not a solo thing. It's really about the collaboration.
I think it really is like this sort of hub and a center where you can connect with different people and you can learn things. As a school and an education, like you kind of learn and you grow, but it also is a sort of a social experience.
Our films are ridiculous. You see all these people standing round, hundreds of people around a camera and all that. And you think, why are they doing that? What's the point? You know, and I find it oddly moving that humans try so hard to communicate, you know, against the odds. I like seeing other people struggle and how to help that struggle, you know.